In this video, I'll be disclosing exactly how much I made driving for Uber for the last 10 weeks, now minus all my expenses. Also, stick around till the end of the video where I'll be sharing a few near misses that I caught on my dash cam this week. I must admit my heart was in my mouth a few times, but luckily I escaped without a scratch, and the car for that matter. Welcome to my channel, my name is Dennis. To all my new viewers, this video is different to my usual content. Normally I compare the total cost of ownership of two cars to see which one's more expensive. Now if this Uber video does well, I'll create more content like this. So if you like it, please comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. That will help my video be recommended to more people on YouTube, and also I'll know that you like this kind of content and I'll create more of it in the future. I'll give you a brief background to my Uber story. I started driving Uber in 2016, back when it was actually illegal down here in Brisbane. Yes, it's hard to imagine, but if I was stopped by the police, I would have gotten a fine and then Uber would have reimbursed me the money. But luckily I was never fined for this. Then I stopped driving for Uber back in 2020, mainly because of COVID, but I also had a newborn baby at home, so my hands were full at this time. And now I'm back driving for the last 10 weeks. In total, I've done over 6,500 trips. Now, I don't like to brag, but my current rating is sitting at 5 stars. I'm as surprised as you are. Now, this star rating is averaged out over my last 500 trips that I've done. Look, I really like driving for Uber. I've been a stay-at-home dad for over 4.5 years now. It's a great way of getting out of the house, socializing with other adults, and of course, making a few extra dollars at the same time. Look, I know this sounds like an ad for Uber, but trust me, it isn't. They haven't sponsored this video in any way other than just paying me for the work that I've done. I just like driving and chatting to people, and that's a perfect recipe for an Uber driver. Now, I think that's enough of a background. Let's jump onto the computer and start going over the figures. So I've developed an Excel spreadsheet where all I have to do is put in my hours spent, how many kilometers I've driven, fuel cost, toll cost, and what Uber paid me, and then it'll automatically work out how much I made for that week minus all my expenses and how much I made an hour. So I'll quickly give you a little behind the scenes here. Step one, we got rideshare commission. Uber currently charge me 22%. So every dollar that I make, Uber take 22% of it. So step two, we've got car depreciation and running costs, driving a Kia Sportage, and I'm forecasting in a year's time I'll be able to sell it for $25,000. Forecast maintenance costs, they're covered under the 7-year manufacturer warranty. Here's my servicing costs, average cost per service every 15,000 kilometers, how much I pay for tires, how long I expect them to last, and the brake pads and the rear pads. Step three, we've got fixed costs, so that do not include GST, is like Regio, the booked hire service license, and driver authorization. So these are extra costs that you have associated with Uber, and that is per year. And then including GST, so my phone bill, my certificate of inspection. Every year I have to get my car inspected to comply to drive for Uber. Insurance is slightly more expensive because I drive with Uber, and a health check, I have to do this once every 5 years. So on average that works out to being $22 a year. Step four, professional fees. I've got my accountant. Now I must admit, a disclaimer, this is not financial advice. I use it as a guide. So I still get all my figures checked by my accountant. I want all that above board. I don't want to get in trouble with the tax man. So now let's jump onto the week fill out sheet. So for an example, let's do last week's earnings. I worked for 27 hours. I drove 767 kilometers. I spent $162 in fuel. I spent $57.30 on tolls, and Uber paid me $1,097.41. So that's what came into my bank account last week. So after all my expenses, I'm left with $646.13, and that is $23.93 an hour. So that's what I take home. Now the moment that you all want to know is how much did I make on average over them 10 weeks. So Uber paid me, let's jump onto my other spreadsheet here. So Uber paid me in total $9,929.52. Now, how much of that did I get to keep? Let's jump back onto my spreadsheet. So profit and loss. So this is how much I got to keep after all my expenses. Hours spent, total profit and loss, hourly rate, GST, and kilometers. So we jump down here. So my average hours that I worked was 23 hours. I made on average $583.02, and my hourly rate was $25.55 an hour. So what I got to keep out of this money was $5,830.21. Now, my biggest expense is petrol in the Kia Sportage. So my next car, I'm pretty confident is going to be a Toyota hybrid of some sort, either the Corolla or the Camry. Now, I know this doesn't sound like a lot, but you have to remember I'm a stay-at-home dad and the flexibility is great for us. It really fits in with our family. Now let's look at the dash cam footage. And now bear in mind, this was only 1 week of driving. So this is probably the only downside with Uber. You're doing a lot of kilometers, on average 728 kilometers, and there's Uber drivers out there that would be doing 2,000 kilometers easily, if not more. Now bear in mind, this is a very wide angle lens, so like a fisheye lens, so things seem further away than they actually are. So I'm driving along here doing 40 kilometers an hour in a 50k zone. Now this car obviously thought that I was turning left when I obviously wasn't. I didn't have my indicator on or anything like that, and luckily I stopped before T-boning her. So I'll just play that again without pausing it. Now there was a meter or so in that, so not super close, but luckily I was paying attention and I was able to bring the car to a stop. Now this footage is a bit more scary. This definitely got the heart racing. So this is a 60 kilometer an hour zone. It was a really crap day for driving, just a misty, spitty rain all day. So the roads are nice and slimy. I can't emphasize enough the importance of getting good tires. Don't get the cheapest tires, because in the wet, those cheap tires might be all right in the dry, but in the wet, I'm glad I paid a little bit extra for my tires here. Now, you don't have to get the super expensive ones, but look, don't get the complete budget tire. It's not worth it in the long run. So I'm driving along here at 30 kilometers an hour or so. This taxi went. I'm like, oh, that was a bit cheeky of that taxi, but all good. I'll just keep going. The lights just started to turn orange here, or amber, but I'm still traveling through, and this car decided to keep going too. Now at this point I'm jumping on the brakes, and this car, the strange thing is she kept coming, and there's probably only 500 mil in it here at this point, so very close. I'll just play that again without pausing it. Now luckily I was able to bring the car to a stop, but there was very little in it at that point. Now I know we all can make mistakes. The next time I make a mistake, I hope the cars around me are paying attention as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to please subscribe and hit the bell notification. Hope to see you all again soon. Bye for now.